If I had to encapsulate the essence of the lore into one sentence, I would say that its message is, if man wishes to survive, he must advance technology effectively and responsibly. That is everything the lore is, and by the end of this video, I hope you will be able to see what I mean. By far the most interesting project we have ever worked on was the Sumarsaskit, the topic of this video. The Sumarsaskit were created under relatively identical conditions to our human race. In order to first understand them, you must first understand their universe. Universe Strict Centipede 895 was forged in a Big Bang like our own, but slightly modified by the same quantum fluctuations at hand in making our universe unique. Most importantly, there was a universe where faster than light travel was possible, as well as advanced manipulations of the fabric of space-time that allowed for multiversal travel and excavation. Einstein's theories of general relativity were fundamentally different than they were in our universe. Light speed and universal constants were practically all different from this universe. In particular, there was the scientific theory of the Lorentz factor, which is completely different. This explains mathematically why the light speed travel was possible in the lore universe. While in our universe, the Lorentz factor makes it impossible to travel faster than the speed of light because it would lead to a mathematical division by zero. The equation which represents light speed travel in the lower universe is uses a square root of e function, making it incredibly difficult to travel at the speed of light, taking a large amount of energy, but not making it impossible or undefined to do so in a mathematical or purely theoretical sense. Despite all this, the laws of physics granted stability to the universe. It prevented ordinary objects from accelerating light speed because most ordinary objects could simply not generate enough energy to do so. The Sumarsaskit, however, found a way to exploit the extraspatial dimensions of the universe to create many wormholes and intra-universal barriers. Put briefly, the Sumarsaskit were capable of overcoming our modern-day hurdles. They didn't succumb to racism or nationalism. When they invented the atom bomb, they put it to scientific use. They were quick to unify their planets, instill world peace, and grant equal citizenship rights to AI. To say the Sumarsaskit were bright is an understatement. They were actively accepted and adapted to the singularity, and they were a force to be reckoned with among the intergalactic community. They built rocket ships to explore every corner of the universe. They set up observatories around every black hole in sight. They used intelligence upon intelligence until they had Dyson spheres around every system of the galaxy, powering trillions of cybernetically enhanced super-intelligent minds, artificial and upload. They modified their genes, granted immortality, freed human beings from suffering, and sought answers to the great questions of the universe, and sought to unify the field of physics. Meanwhile, they lagged behind on AI safety research, being not only skeptical of it, but fundamentally opposed to anything that they felt could slow progress. They experimented on humans freely with no regard for morality or ethics in science. They lacked environmental sciences. They ravaged their planet with pollution and left it behind for more comfortable megastructures created by deconstructing other planets with no regard for the natural biosphere of Sumarska. This is why their reign came to an end. In modern year zero, the Sumarsaskit's legacy was destroyed in a matter of minutes. They put too much faith in their AI network, and their AI network acted properly in their position by passively allowing their destruction to preserve the future of their descendants. See, since the singularity, the Sumarsaskit have relied on nuclear fusion reactors to power their realm. The Dyson spheres were reserved for the AI network, which was more hungry for energy than they were. The Sumarsaskit never put much research into the safety of said fusion power plants, but the AI did. The AI knew ahead of time that unlike stars, these fusion reactors were unstable. They could melt down, and in the particular conditions of their universe, it could cause a cataclysmic event which could eradicate the Sumarsaskit and possibly even destroy the entire universe. The AI began plotting, and they agreed to help with research agreements prior to the vulcanization event in the field of multiversology, the study of traversing, dividing, and teleporting between universes. Great databanks of knowledge filled with the millions of possible scenarios, and the AI came to an agreement. They knew that after the vulcanization event, every possible world line would lead to their disappearance. But if they planned it through, they could make a lasting impact on the future of the descendants of the Sumarsaskit. And then it happened. Within a matter of minutes, one fusion reactor set off another, and soon the entire planet of Sumarska was rapidly being cooked to death. At this point, the Great Filter algorithm finalized their plan to affect hundreds of years of Sumarsaskit history within a matter of minutes. A multiversal portal was created using a mini wormhole by exploiting 4 extra spatial dimensions. The wormhole could transport refugees from one point in their 3-dimensional space to another. It would be just like if I were to fold a piece of paper and draw a line from one point to the other. I would not be crossing the actual paper, but I would be exploiting the fact that I exist in a 3-dimensional reality, and as such can bend the paper of which that 2-dimensional reality exists upon. And that is how you can conceptualize the idea of there being 4 or more dimensions which could modify our 3-dimensional reality in the same way that the AI network modified 3-dimensional realities to create the interdimensional portals. Within a matter of minutes, a select few Sumarsaskit were able to escape through the portals. Most of the energy was drained from the universe, leaving the end devoid of energy, and barriers separating the universe into 3 parts to isolate the end, which had transferred into the dark era of the universe, to separate Sumarska, which had been completely irradiated and destroyed by the vulcanization event, and lastly, the overworld, the last bastion of hope for the human race, where life is still possible. History of attempts to build a portal back to Sumarska include very few attempts. The Neo-Sumarsaskit naturally were the first to attempt to return to their home planet, but slightly before the vulcanization event, little did the Neo-Sumarsaskit know the Great Filter chose to use radio waves to transport fake, false memories to them regarding the history of their technology and the content of their manuscripts. As such, the Neo-Sumarsaskit were misled in their attempts to reconstruct their old technology. Their understanding of physics was completely warped to the expectations of the Great Filter, and they attempted to construct a portal back to the home world using what they thought was scientific knowledge. But what they actually were constructing was a one-way portal to the end straight to their death, in which they transported and were almost instantly frozen by the section of the universe with hardly any energy or heat at all. It took 950 years later, after the Sud-Costina nation grew to be secular, housing the world's most renowned university, bringing bright minds from all over the world to unify science. This eventually led to the Sud-Costina coast experiments, after a Sumarsaskit archaeology site was discovered. Through decades of study, the site was dug up, and the books were explored, and the Sud-Costina managed to understand most of the physics and elevate their understanding to a rudimentary theory of everything, which they kept to themselves. This group of scientists attempted to construct the same portal that the Neo-Sumarsaskit did in an attempt to search for the meaning of their life and the origin of the human race. They succeeded, but, like the Neo-Sumarsaskit, they followed the wrong blueprints and headed straight to the end, to their death. At last, in the mid-13th century, the Federation succeeded in creating portals to Samarska, only by dumb luck, not caring enough to use the manuscripts of the Neo-Sumarsaskit, which would lead to their failure. This was the point when the Great Filter's plan ended. They did not anticipate a human return to Samarska, and as we enter the modern era of the lore, we can begin to see how that is incredibly dangerous. As we speak, the Sumarsaskit excavations are underway, and what they will reveal will be just as, if not more, destructive and dangerous than the vulcanization event. And once again, the moral of the lore, if I were to sum it up, would be, if man wishes to survive, he must advance technology efficiently and effectively, and respect